Happy Sunday, everyone. It's time for Finding Help with Special Needs with Lola and Aneke. So it's another beautiful Sunday afternoon here in Abuja. And I think it's about to rain also. Last week it rained heavily after we ended the Finding Help with Special Needs episode 11 last week. And today we're here again. And as always, before I go on, I would like to apologize because after listening to myself, after listening to last week's episode, I realized I kept on saying there was a word I was using. I think what was that word I was using again? I knew I corrected myself. I think I kept on saying something like it was a I don't know about dyslexia, but I said I remember I was saying that it was a reading problem. I said it's something like it was the numbers. Yes, the topic I said. So let me get it right now. As opposed to saying help, these letters are jumping all around and giving me a headache. I said something. I kept on saying help, these numbers are jumping. And when I listened to myself, I corrected it in my write-up saying, looks like I've had too many things on my mind regarding finding out with special needs, and I was preempting myself. And today we're talking about Dyscalculia. So today's will be more like help, these numbers. So I'm actually bringing these numbers, I jump it everywhere, and it's giving me a headache. So today I'm talking about dyslexia, and like we know, dyslexia is a learning disability. But before I go on, like I always do, I'll recap what we discussed last week, and then we go straight into what we have to do today. So thank you all. Please let everyone know we're live and we're beginning right away. Thank you, Omo Babade for joining in. To sign, thank you, AY Belo, thank you for joining on Instagram. And on Facebook, I see you, Tomi Lola, I see you. What else can I see here? Okay, I think it's about to come up, but just know that I really appreciate you for joining up today. Yes, I see you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So let's go straight into what we have to discuss today. I think I need my other phone so I'll be sure because Facebook seems to be quite slow today. Let me be sure of those who are online so that I can recognize you all and thank you for joining in again today. So where are you? So like I said last week, we talked about dyslexia, and I said it's a language-based disability, and it's a specific learning disability because because it has to do with reading, components of reading, and we also said that reading, writing, and yes, reading, writing, and speaking go hand in hand because most of the words we use are actually English language. And when I say I am fine, it simply means I'm putting the letter I for I, AM for am, so consonants and vowel, and fine. So I have FINE and the silent A make it I, a long vowel I, and that gives it fine. And that's really what I'm writing and speaking. And then with so reading and writing, I always say go hand in hand. So basically today, so last week I tried to explain the 5 components of reading, which is phonics, phonological awareness, vocabulary, fluency, and reading comprehension. And I also talked about the different ways to assess these children and where you find. So basically, when the assessment is done, wherever the weakest point is where you pay attention to. And I also try to give examples and strategies to help these children living with dyslexia. So I kept on saying these numbers are jumping in my head, and I said, okay, why not let's do Dyscalculia today? When I realized that, yes, almost everybody I've spoken to, just a few people say, oh, I'm quite good with math. Even just, was it yesterday or today? Someone said, oh, I don't know if I'm the only one, but I see that I meet a lot of people who say they have challenges with mathematics. So today we shall be looking at some of the various learning challenges, particularly dyslexia and dyscalculia, and find ways to talk about the various kind of assessments that are available and ways to and strategies to help individuals living with dyscalculia. It's quite wide when you talk about dyscalculia. So today I thought to look for some very good definitions of dyscalculia, a minute, and also thought of beyond the um sorry beyond the various definitions. I also thought to um look for easy ways to explain what it is, what dyscalculia is. But I want to start with the definition of learning disabilities, and I go into definition of dyscalculia. There are several definitions out there, and the ones that I've seen that really resonates with me is the one I'm going to be reading out right now to you. I thought it would be a good time to actually make it easy since we are on Special Needs Made Easy. I won't be speaking above our heads today. I'll try and make it as simple as possible. So I'm trying to get definition out there for you. So learning disability is a generic term that refers to a heterogeneous group of disorders. So let's not forget there's homogeneous, and there's heterogeneous. That means thank you everyone for joining again. I would try and appreciate you and acknowledge your presence before the end of today's episode of Finding Out with Specialists, but please bear with me. I just felt that if I'm going to make it easy, then I need to be as practical as possible. I need to refer to very easy and simple definitions. So once more, welcome, and I appreciate you joining me today. Thank you, everyone. So I'm trying to take a definition of learning disability, and when I do that, I'll try and explain it, and then I'll take another definition of dyscalculia. When I do that, I'll explain some of the things that I see, so that, most times I always say one of the reasons I started to come online and to talk about finding out with special and every issue of special is to make it as easy as possible, so that even parents and typical classroom teachers, so general ed teachers, and some special needs teachers who have not had contact or experiences of working with some of these disabilities can have an idea of what to do while they wait for proper psychological assessment or proper medical diagnosis. So today we're going to look at some of those things that can make our work easy, working with students with dyscalculia. And then when we'll talk about each of the areas that could be affected, then we can come up with ways to help this individual living with dyscalculia. Now, I do not think we would cover everything I have to discuss with you today. So probably would have to continue maybe next week or some other time, but I'll try and make it as easy as possible. Please follow me. If you have to jot down points, jot them down, write down your questions so that I can answer it after we've ended the session, or probably next time we continue on this topic. So again, I want to go back to what learning disability is, because it's a broad, like I said last week, it has a broad definition that different other subcategories of learning disabilities, which dyslexia is one of them, which we talked about last week. And like I said, dyslexia is a language-based disability. Now, today we're talking about dyscalculia, but as I was preparing for this session, I thought to make it easier, and I thought to go back to some of my resources and to just read directly to you and then explain what it is that we're trying to get on today, and we all take it in and find the best way we can help individuals living with dyscalculia. So I'll go back to what I'm reading. So learning disability is a generic term that refers to a heterogeneous group of disorders manifested by significant difficulties in acquisition of listening. So learning disability, acquisition of listening, speaking, reading, writing, reasoning, or mathematical abilities, or of social skills. So if you look at it, it's heterogeneous. So there's more that it's not homogeneous. It's heterogeneous. So different things happening under there. And what are those disorders or disability that's manifested? Difficulty in acquiring difficulties in the acquisition of listening. So it could be auditory processing, acquisition of listening, difficulty in speaking. So sometimes, like I said, reading and speaking goes hand in hand. Like I give an example of I am fine. So there's reading involved. There's graphemes and phonemes involved, vowels and consonants involved in I am. Am is consonants and vowel and consonants, and fine is also consonants, vowel, consonants and vowel, and the fine will be fine and not fin, because Fine, the E at the end is a silent E. Therefore, automatically the I in fine becomes a long vowel and it gives you fine. So going back to our definition of learning disability, we said it is a group of disorders manifested by significant difficulties in the acquisition of listening. And I said an example could be auditory processing disorder, speaking, reading. I said speaking and reading and writing actually go hand in hand. Ability to take words, what you've heard, the phonemes you've heard, into graphemes, into letters. It's the writing. And then reasoning or mathematical abilities or social skills. Okay, so that's a learning disability. So some children with autism have learning disability because sometimes they're not able to acquire social skills like every other person. So that's learning disabilities. These disorders are intrinsic to the individual and presumed to be due to central nervous system dysfunction. So it has to do with the central nervous system. Somebody was about the brain and the neurons and how messages is being sent all around, and how everything about us is controlled by the brain. So it has to do with the brain, how the brain function. Even though a learning disability other handicap, it could occur. So disability, and you could also sensory impairment, you could have or have a learning disability, you have social and emotional disturbances, and go hand in hand. So mobility, okay, which is the cultural difference and psychology. So there may be factors that sometimes I always say that most times when we say some children are living with learning disabilities, I gave a good example last week. I said, look, if a child has not been instructed in English language, it would be wrong for us to say the child is having having dyslexia, because that child has never been instructed, or English might not be the child's first language. So in in America, particularly where I was trained, we have a lot of English as second language learners. So it would be wrong for us to say that those students are dyslexic because they do not have any formal training on the use or acquisition of English language. Until they add that, and then maybe after a while they're not getting it, and it doesn't have to do with their language, a language challenge. Because I said, okay, for example, if you show a child a phone, for example, in English, and that child is from Mexico, for example, and then he has never been taught the word phone in English, and you show him the same phone and say it in Mexican language, if that child gets it, then you cannot say that that child is living with dyslexia. So there are several factors that could attribute to the fact that the person is living with disability. It could be cultural factor. It could be the teaching techniques. So like in this part of the world, we have a lot of people who are teachers, but they're not trained as teachers. So there are techniques and strategies involved in teaching, and that could also be detrimental to your student if you don't know the strategies to use to teach the student. So these are some of the factors that could actually contribute to the fact that we call individuals, we label or we categorize some of these individuals to be living with learning disabilities. Now, it also says that insufficient and inappropriate instruction, psychogenic factor, and especially with attention deficit disorder, all of which may cause learning problem. A learning disability is not the direct result of those conditions or influences. So we cannot say that learning disability is why a person has ADHD. We cannot say learning disability is why a person has social interaction, lack of social interaction skill. Sometimes this would also affect. So ADHD could cause there to be learning disability because the person might not be paying attention due to whatever is going on with the person, with that individual. So it could affect the individual, and therefore the person could be termed as living with a learning disability. So that's about learning disability. Now, let's go to Dyscalculia, which is what we're talking about today. So dyscalculia is an example of learning disabilities graphic of those earlier on. So some of the examples of learning disabilities are dyscalculia, dysgraphia, dyspraxia, autism, and about two more. I think about 6 of them are involved in some of the subcategories of learning disabilities. And sometimes an individual can have one or more of those. So a person could be living with dyslexia and dysgraphia. Like we said, comorbidity could occur, and then a person could be living with autism and also be living with dyslexia and also be living with dyscalculia. But it will not, we will never assume that this research has not shown that a person living with autism is living with a learning disability, because we've seen some children who are really high functioning. I remember a child I was working with recently, and this child, we when we did the verbal behavior milestone assessment placement program for the child, this child was more on the level 1, and level 1 has to do with basic programs the child needs to acquire. But level 3 is much higher, and level 2 is a bit higher. But this child was doing fine in level 1, and suddenly the child jumped to level 3, which had to do with sentence construction, or and also no, not sentence construction. That had to do with use of 2-letter words, or being able to spell 2-letter and 3-letter words. Some are 4-letter words, and we're like, oh wow. So it would be totally wrong to say a child living with autism also is totally living with a learning disability. However, there could be a comorbidity whereby a child is living with autism and also living with dyslexia or any form of learning disabilities. And of course, because that's really cognition, social skills, cognition is the ability to see something and be able to repeat it. So for example, you see a child opens the door. So a 2-year-old sees another 2-year-old open the door and walks out to meet his mother or something outside, or probably reach out to a table and reach out for what he or she wants. A child without such cognitive ability may not be able to watch and repeat that action. But these are some of the things that have to be children with autism. But let's not go there. Let's just try and focus on this calculia today. So I want to read out one definition also to you, so that we can take it from there, and then we go into assessment, and then we go into some of the challenges that individuals living with this calculia experience. Dyscalculia is a condition that affects the ability to acquire mathematical skills. It is a condition that affects the ability to acquire mathematical skills, and I'll be telling you some of those skills as time goes on. Dyscalculia learners may have difficulty understanding simple number concepts, lack an intuitive of numbers, and have problems learning number facts and procedures. Even they have a correct answer or use a correct method, they mechanically and without confidence. So confidence is involved also. They might just, so I remember, so I have an example of what dyscalculia could be. So I remember whenever I am doing some assessment with children with dyscalculia, and you say something like 2 + 4, and the child sometimes will just guess and just say 6. But when you check the strategy the child uses, you find out that he really doesn't have any strategy. Really, just guess. And sometimes it's correct, sometimes it's not correct. Sometimes they might know the process, the strategy to use, but getting to the answer could be an issue for them. Sometimes lack of confidence could also be the cause of dyslexia and dyscalculia in children. Sometimes it could be issues, like I said, understanding the simple normal concept. 2 comes after 1, and 3 comes after, or 1 comes before 2. Little things that we think easy, and there are several factors that could contribute to that, which some of the very easily known factors are the long-term and the short-term memory. But we'll go into the different aspects that could be affected when an individual is living with dyslexia. So long-term memory, short-term memory is basically so I gave an example when I was talking about long and short-term memory. So for example, when I see something and I say it, right? As soon as somebody says me, for example, I don't know the word flabbergasted, and I heard it, and I'm able to use it. Now, at that time, it's new to me. If I don't make conscious effort to know the meaning and how it's being used and store it in my long-term memory, it may never come back to me in my short-term memory anymore. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. So the ability to see something and do it almost immediately, they're not important information. I just use it immediately and then it goes off. But the ones that are very important and channel that I use is stored in my long-term memory, and I'm able to retrieve it back in time that I need it. And I was just thinking about children with dyslexia or individual with dyslexia. Mathematics is very broad, really very broad. And I'm going to be walking you through some of the assessment that is done with this individual, so that even if you don't have standardized tools, once you know, just the way we know the basic concepts, the basic components of reading, which we said was phonics, phonological awareness, very so when you look at components of reading, child is having components. It might be easy to just identify what's going on is, and then profile. Let's not forget that one of my trainings when I was talking about known therapists who said things with, and they said to us, but things are not just working out well, that these children may not talk level at which you expect. I just said about to read in Abuja here, and yes, a little dark here, so I'll just so please put the fact that it's dark is just a natural. The light is on here, but my light that makes it brighter is off right now. So I hope you can still see me. Yeah, I think I can see myself. So definitely you can see me. Let's just focus on what is important right now. So yeah, so dyscalculia, we've had some professionals who are quite really good, and they say to you that sometimes you really want the best for those children. You've done everything by the book, but things are not just falling in place. Doesn't mean you've not tried your best. I think I need that down here so that it can be brighter. Yay, a lot brighter now. So that's do your best as a professional individual. Even way today we're talking about this that you can learn all that, and then if keep saying it's a lifelong disability, it doesn't just, it gets better. So beat yourself up if you're doing the best from this children of progress you're expecting, and it, depending on what is going on with sometimes long issue can be, it could be issue, could be a problem and all of that. That's like I just about some of the aspects could be, there's this popular that is always done for children, keep saying good because it helps you have cognition for a child, or even with this, it helps you understand what. Don't forget the fact that mathematics has a problem in it. Children with children with dyscalculia is some form of when it comes to what problem code or be able to meaning when it comes to math. So let me go quickly to some of the tools that could be used. I think I'll start with the Gibson. Yeah, the Gibson test of cognition. So easy to use. It's sometimes computer based. You can have the training done, but beyond that, the easiest thing to do is to understand the components of mathematics, and then find out what's going on. So it's also important to have a test of cognition done, so you can know where the error is and what is going on with that child. Yay, the light is back. So let me go quickly to some of the assessment that could be done, but I'll quickly go to Gibson's. So what Gibson's test is, I wrote that down. It tests the memory, how far and how well a child remembers what is being taught. And for me, that just makes common sense, because sometimes you're teaching a child 1 + 1 is 2, and you feel the child should be able to remember it because I just taught you. what's happening? Is it an issue of long-term memory, or is it an issue of short-term memory, which I just now? Because the truth is that when it comes to numeracy or mathematics, there's a lot of procedure going on in there, and then for the child to be able to remember what's going on there, he has to store this processes and the strategies in his or her long short the short-term memory, the long-term memory to be reached when it's being needed. So if it's an error, if it's a memory issue, that's cognition help us understand what is going on. So that by the time we are providing intervention for this child, we'll do a lot of memory exercise with the child, and there's several memory exercises that could be done. It's as easy as going on Google, going on YouTube to find out memory exercises, a lot of memory exercises, textbooks online on Amazon, just buy them and then be able to do memory exercises for that child. Also, it also checks the processing speed of the child. So it helps you to see how well and how fast. So there's a timing going on. So sometimes they will give 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 1 minute to be able to see how this child will process what is being said to the child or what is being read. And I'll go into all of that again. Also, like auditory processing is also checked. Remember I said that learning disability also has to do with auditory processing. So you want to check what's going on with what the child is hearing and how the child is able to decode what he or she is hearing, and that's also occurs in dyscalculia. It also checks the visual processing. The child saying A as it's just saying B as D or 9 as G, and that also could be for even in dyscalculia. If the child saying 7 as F, is it saying so some of the ones that are 7 as F, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 as 9, reversals and all of that could also occur in numbers. And also we also want to see the logic and reasoning of the child. If I have 2 pencils and I take away 1, what would I have? Or if I have 2 pencils and I'm giving 2 more, and I gave out some of those basic things. You want to see how the child is able to reason some of those things, and then you score the child and know where the issue is. And basically, the main essence of the assessment should be to go to direct you towards where the child is having challenges with and be able to provide solution for this child. Now, another thing we check is word attack skills. So, and that's for dyscalculia, which is number. You want to see the child understand symbols, mathematics, division, subtraction, multiplication, addition. Sometimes the children would see multiplication as addition and all of that. So that's one good thing about the Gibson test of achievement, no, of cognition, sorry. Now, why I would always advocate for beyond the test of cognition is that the test of achievement, which has to do with that, the specific curriculum or the specific expectation, academic expectation for a child who is maybe in grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, is that when you understand what's going on and where the child has challenges, you can know where to provide the solution. So, for example, if it's actually do with algebra, which is, when we say x plus, so for a child who is in grade 1, grade 2, might not have issue with algebra until they get to higher grades. So the good thing is that beyond using one particular tool, it's always good to consider other tools. But that will be for psychologists or for professionals, certified special educators who can use those tools to identify where the problem is. For a basic classroom teacher, what you want to check is components of what you're doing at the moment. So I'm going to read out some of the components of numeracy, mathematics, and then you want to identify what is going on with your child beyond what you're checking out. So you want to check long-term memory, how he's able to remember things easily. You want to be able to see how he's able to remember the things that you've taught him a day or two before, and if that's an issue, to the strategies you can use. So if you're talking about remembrance of what is going on, of what you taught yesterday or today, you just have to recap what you taught before and try to walk the child towards it. In between, you break the skills. So in between is what you've done. You want to ask, what have we done right now? What have we done, and where are we? You keep checking the child is able to remember what you're talking about. When it comes to mathematics, auditory processing, whatever it is on attitude cognition. I help this child to processing. Remember the letter 7. 7 is not something. It's not the numbers auditory processing. I would like to use the concept of, as we call it, math. I did too. I love to child with the 14. We have the test of, and beyond that, you can even look for other. If you don't have a tool like one of these tools are developed countries, create something that can work in. It's as simple as for that year, and you go below. Maybe, for example, a child or second, the child is having teaching. You want to go back to the basic. You want to go to grade 1, or even go back to simple addition, subtraction of single numbers, or identification of numbers. Identification of number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. What comes before that? What goes after? Missing number 1, and then you get. So you just go back down and identify where the child is sure for that child. Most schools that they already have this, be it during children or during waiting for the summative, and then you've lost the response to. They know how to provide solutions. So let's go back to have problem. For Johnson to check, I'll be experiencing that says to check. General ed teacher, know where your child is having child. And one of the things I also like about the test of achievement is that it helps you to know the grade your child is working at. It also helps you to know particular challenges, and then you can also do a lot of exercises to put the child to the level, as opposed to just the test of the cognitive part of the child, because all that you will do with that will be more of the brain, processing, working memory, but then there should be something like that which will be more of the level at which the child is physically and together. So the and the achievement assessment when it comes to mathematics will give you a better feel of the goals to set for and how to monitor the child. So that's why I do that with Johnson. Now, if I can get to those, I would also put you to get your pen and your paper together. When you want to, as Dyscalculia or with it, it's always good to tools online, free test of cognition. Do that, but not be quite non-reference. So useful when it comes to auditory processing and all of that. The area this child is having is that the child is revising. The area is that the child is the area you can't hear what I've said. 5 in my, and they could also do short-term memory, and that's where you can also do I help a memory, and then you see a lot coming up. Go on Amazon, textbooks, and you'll be able to know how best to help the child when it comes to. Now, when it comes to mathematics, different American curriculum, different curriculum, a different yeah curriculum. Now decide which basing the child on. Go back to if you have to find out challenges on in grade to grade 1 and 2 area. Is it addition of letter words? Is it multiple? Is it is then you begin to in the cognition deficit. The child is having issues. You need to look for strategy to that child's skill. You can go to the broad mathematics of what is being the 5 test of mathematics. So what it checks like to solve to check so or by writing a paper you want to check it's able to function, and I give out 1 2 and give 1. They give out to provide solution for that. You have to replace give out, take away. Even sign the sign that says subtract, negative sign could also be where you want to help the child to understand whenever you hear the word give out or take away or negative words. And that's the challenges that individuals have been able to communicate to professionals that look, the words, there are too many words, unlike English. Yeah, English has its own challenge, but there are too many going on with numeracy and with mathematics. Therefore, sometimes take away. Are you going to take away? Are you going to say minus or yeah, all of will be a challenge for children. That aspect and one solution. We also need to perform mathematics in a written. Oh, there's something written and I'm filling the gap. There's there's that. Can that child, you know what? I need to say, okay, there's 1 here, the next 2, and the next can that child really the next thing to do? So can a child addition under a time? This child should be able to solve problems with 1 minute or 2 minutes. You want to check what's going on, and usually when I'm a child to think aloud, why did you so for example, if I do 2 times 2, is it that the child has or the child has a strategy to know that 2 in 2 places will give me, or 3 in will give me 9? Are there other strategy, or the child has just been able to have the root recitation of what multiplication is? So you want to check that. You want to check that what the strategy the child is using 2 for addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Get that signs. So like the reversal of the number in 7 in reversal shape, and then you put 2 and see you go up 2 in 4 and then you go up there. That's one strategy. The child can also count in 2s. That's another strategy. The child could also decide to stroke. So depending on the level of the child, and that's some of the things you want to check. You want to check if a 4-year-old is stroking. You want to check if a 4-year-old or a 2-year-old, the strategy they're using. So some of this things put you into perspective of that child, and they're working on the child's level. And don't forget that the child also has some cognitive skills or a deficit, and where you can now make that together and help the child. Another thing to check would be the so calculation facts, math fact fluency. So you want to know that to for that is the child fluent enough, or would the child be requiring support when it comes to that area? Now, another thing you want to check is applied problem. So Femi had 2 oranges, and Femi got 2 more, but on his way 1. Can that and say 2 plus 1? And if that's an issue, you do. I remember last week, look, in as I said earlier, in as much as all the strategies you want to use and the child seems to be, let's not forget that processing time might not come up immediately. And that's why the power of accommodation is very important. Giving the child extended time, highlighting what it is a problem is for the child, and all of that we could use after you've acquired to help this. And it might seem that the child is still not, he may be getting, but it's still slow, not meeting to the time that it needs to finish up what it needs to do. Then you can always think of, and as we do that, for me, what I always do as I'm teaching those skills and those strategies, it's always important to make sure you are accommodation is taking place concurrently. So accommodation is taking place side by side with the strategies using to move the child to the next level. And if that accommodation is taking place while you're teaching, doing classwork and all of that, it's also important to make sure that accommodation takes place also during examination. And that's the power of an IEP. When you write an IEP for a child with dyscalculia, with dyslexia, with autism, ensure that whatever accommodation the child in your learning, same thing during native assessment, or your or even external assessment, which is really the doing external assessment for the child to move to grade or that we're doing foreign. Make sure you document and all of this to the external bodies. They understand schools do Cambridge different exams, be it accommodation. They will right from they'll understand that this child room for the accommodation, whatever the accommodation, just go Google on the of accommodation that could be used to succeed, because the whole essence of all just put them aside and call names is for us to what they're going through. Remember versus so it's not saying, hey, yeah, sorry, just pushing the side and keep giving work without or improvement. Understanding what is going on. And that sympathy means that I'm ready to go to with you cognitively, with your speech, literacy, English, or in numbers, which is mathematics, what you're going through. I want to kind of to provide for you, and that's the power of empathy. So you need to understand exactly what's going on. Things that we call the knowledge. So you want to be one in one box, two in another box, and you're wondering what's the child as the last box it's empty. So you want to do things, and like I keep saying, mathematics curriculum is almost the same everywhere. Just at times the rate at which we experience components differs. So we need to be able to know what's going on and where to provide help for the children. So we do that, and then you test. So once you do all of those, some of those things you could do. Another tool I also like to modify and use for these children is a test of early mathematics abilities, the TEMA 3. What that does is, I like that because it's more details. It checks, what does it check now? 1 minute, let me just quickly check what it checks. Numeration. So it tests overall number sense related to early number awareness. So place value, fraction, decimals, percentages. So it checks algebra. Algebra is, when we say 2x plus 3x equals to maybe 10, find x. You want to check some of those things. That's algebra. And remember, algebra does not occur in lower elementary levels. So like what I'm saying is that it's possible for you to conduct a achievement or academic assessment for a child with dyslexia when it has to do with numbers, using your curriculum to check some basic skills that this child needs to acquire, and then you begin to move that child to the next level depending on the kind of accommodation you are trying to provide. Now, also what that test also check is under geometry. So geometry, triangles, when you say, okay, even young children, you want to check how many sides, what are the ones that are shapeless, like circle, it takes a form. What are the ones that are 3 sides, 4 sides? What are those things? So you could also check that even with younger kids. So that's what that talks about. Then sorry, 1 minute, I need to get a pen. Oh yes, so that's what that checks. Then you also check the data analysis and probability. So just if you actually check our curriculum, there are several things that just the way there are several expectations. Let me use that word, easy, expectation. So when you get your mathematics textbook, you check basic things that the child should know. What are the prerequisite knowledge a child needs to acquire before you move? So for example, if I'm going to teach a child one addition, for example, I want to be able to understand that the child understands ascending order, the child understand descending order, the child understand missing numbers. The child understand that if I take away 2 and I have numbers arranged serially, if 2 is off, if 4 is off, if 6 is off, can that child find the missing numbers? What strategies is the child using? And if I find a challenge in any area, a teacher or a parent, what can I do to help my child? And having a particular challenge, could it be memory? Could it be long or short-term memory? Could it be, which is auditory processing? Could it be visual processing? Could it be whatever it is under cognition? So I'm going to check the cognitive area of learning. That you go check, there's some free cognition, check that. It's okay. Oh, I see cognitive area. I think it's memory. Google memory exercises, grade 1, memory exercise 2. Universally, most of the curriculum is almost the same. The only thing is maybe, okay, the curriculum is higher than where the child, the school, or kind of, you can now look at the child, the prerequisite knowledge that the child needs to succeed with what you're teaching. Go to YouTube, how to teach addition, how to teach a child subtraction. That, as simple as that, could help that child fill in those gaps. And several videos have been uploaded. I actually checked some today when I was trying to find out some things, and like some of these things you might not, nobody knows, nobody is an island, nobody knows it all. But what helps you is that, and that's what finding help with special needs is all about, helping you to find direction. Okay, so if my child is struggling with this, what are the possible things? Let me check the cognitive test so I can know if it's an area that has to do with processing, logic, reasoning, whatever it is. When you find that, you now Google. So for example, if it's memory challenges, exercises for children with Dyscalculia, a lot of memory exercises will come up. You keep working with that child. Sometimes they'll tell you, you will time the child for 2 minutes and all that. And before you know, you take data and say, okay, this child did this question under 2 minutes. I want to move into 1 minute. What is that child thinking? I use some of the skills I use is I want a child to think aloud so I can know where and how you are, where you're missing the point. Sometimes you want to use helping the child to sequence what is expected of the child. So first I find the word minus, and whenever I say take away or minus, this is what it means. And then I find out this is what I'm going to do first. I get all the numbers out. what is required of me. Subtraction means minus, take away means minus, addition means add more, and all of that. And the next step, and then I do my computation. After my computation of the task required of me, I also go back to be sure that I have done everything step by step. So I put the steps aside for the child. Then I give the question. I haven't taught the child. So discrete trial teaching is very important. ABA is very important. Teaching bit by bit, managing behavior, and then behavior consequences, giving good reward when the child does well. You keep doing all of those things, and then the memory exercise and all that. They all have to go hand in hand in helping these children to achieve the milestone you want them to achieve. Once you do that, and you feel that they are able without any form of support, then for example, if the child needs support, you could add visual aid. Where did you put all the child? So the child is saying, Femi has 2 pencils, and Kemi gave 2 more pencils, and to give 1 away. You also keep. So the first thing is all the numbers, and the first thing says add means plus, and that's the sign, and then take away means negative, and then the child, step by step, and then you put away the no more support and all of that, which is some of the techniques that we use in ABA. No more support, and they say how the child can actually walk himself through that. And I always want them to think aloud. I want to hear what you're thinking. What are you thinking? Could it be the right side that can correct you almost immediately? And that's one good thing, again, having to correct almost immediately than just keeping quiet on the child, and the child will make all the error, and then you're calling the child back to say, look, you didn't do that. And that's why our teaching technique is very important, to always observe what the children are doing, as opposed to waiting that they've done it and that's called them wrong. So you can immediately provide the help, and then they'll be more than willing to also get the kind of help they need. So that's about what I can take today on finding help with special needs. I know that it can be it's not like dyslexia, where you can give several examples. Mathematics is very broad. I wish I could have something I could write out for you and then take you step by step. But the truth is that all you need to know is the strategies, what's going on. So basically, could it be a cognitive issue? Definitely, there's always a cognitive issue. So go online, type out free cognitive assessment test. You get those ones done. Even if you don't have a standardized, you don't have a psychologist to help you. If you don't have a certified special educator who can help you do those tests by your own, you could study on all those free cognitive tests, and you can identify some of the issues the child is going through. Then you want to check based on your curriculum. If the child is in grade 2, I give that example, and you feel the child is struggling, go back to the beginning of numbers, to the beginning of mathematics, 1-digit number, 2 digits, and all of those, and then see where the challenge is, and then work the child upward. And there's several strategies, like I've said, you can use to help that child living with dyscalculia. A lot of praise, a lot of encouragement, a lot of discrete trial teaching, a lot of prompts, a lot of positive reinforcement, and all of that behavior management techniques would also help the child to move forward. So don't feel frustrated. Calm down, take a deep breath, identify what's going on, and be able to help that child living with dyslexia. I'm also available. So usually when I talk about dyslexia or dysgraphia or learning disability, I like to be specific. What exactly are you going through? Being general will not help, because what if a child with one child living with dyslexia may not exhibit it the same way another child living with dyslexia will exhibit it. But what I always would like to do is that I just put it all out there. Now you can now tell me specifically what your issue, what the challenge you're having with a particular child, and I can walk you through it and how you can help the child. And then we have several trainings that we conduct at the Cadet Academy, which some of them are free, some of them are paid. Be on the lookout. Visit my page. Some of those you can actually get trained. We travel to different sources whenever we're in your state. Take advantage of such opportunities to be able to end our training, so we can actually attend to your specific needs. And you can also send me emails. You can leave me questions about that child with dyscalculia, and you have no idea what to do with that child. Specific information, know exactly what is going on, then I can be able to help the child. So that's to say on that dyscalculia. I hope I've been able to help in one or other. Now, I have two comments that I do. But first, again, is special needs made easy. The only reason I'll sit down and these books is because I want everybody to find out and to know that special needs can actually be easy. Some of those terms can be big and all of that, but the whole idea is we want to make the world more inclusive for individuals with disabilities and special needs. I put this book together. A lot of the testimonials I've gotten from this book is what I was expecting. The special needs made easy. All the things that you think might be far-fetched down in this book. This here is a compendium subject that ought to be common parents, school administrators, and caregivers. So, book advantage of price right now because very soon it's going to go up, but for now it's just 2,500. And if nothing, I always say to people, if the reason why I keep late night, the reason why I'm always doing research and putting work out there regarding special needs so that we can make the difference in the lives of the children we work with. And as parents, parents can also, this book is useful to parents too. So don't just sit back there and say, oh, I'm not a special needs teacher, I don't know what to do. Now you know what to do. Sometimes I say to people that if you know what to do and you're not doing, it's accounted unto you as sin, and that's what the Holy Book says. So now you know what to do. Invest in yourself. Invest in books that will help you. And this is one book that will help you to make the world a better place for children living with special needs. Another announcement we have also is that I will be launching my new book, which is Mastering Autism. So a lot of people have said several things about what autism and their belief and all that. I have put this book together to make it so easy to be able to work with children with autism. I talk from the educator's point of view. I talk from the parents' point of view, and the best way to help these children, prevention or an inclusive class, social for social skills on issues, all of the issues children with dyslexia are going. I've broken it down. Some of the experience through here in Nigeria. So it's an African perspective. To the people have ideas, but when it comes to how do we help children, and I'm so excited about it. And it's going to be on the 8th of September. So I wrote this right up on that earlier on today. I said, look, birthday cake to you, and you have to consider it as your gift to me. Please consider buying this, and the fantastic way. Choose some professional and professionally and mind what I put in that book. And anyway, is for people to meet the needs of disability, particularly by this book. Writing more books, and my aim is to meet the children holistically, move them to the next level, can be a better place for autism ability. So right now goes for pre-order. You can get a lot of put in a lot of resources and use autism. If you're on IEP, on IFSP, you can really relate to work for that, working with or Nigeria. So look out for the book, look out for all the information I'll be throwing out there on social media so that you can best help that child. It's to be 4,000, the 28 to be going for Naira. It's a copy to pre-order. The number to call is 0809 1273 Again, the number to call is 0809 1273. Please go to Lola Aneke, go to Lola Aneke on Facebook, and more information will be rolled out this week regarding the book. Again, look out for a lot of our training. Some of them will be online, most of them will be online, some of them will be on WhatsApp on issues relating to disabilities, and we'll be more than happy to you so that you be relevant, so to say, and be able to help individuals living with disability. I think that's about all of the announcements I have for us today. Yes, let's not forget that October is Dyslexia Awareness Month. So we'll be doing a lot of training on dyslexia and dyscalculia. Until I come on your way again next week, I remain yours truly, Lola Aneke, on finding help with special needs. I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye. Oh my God. I didn't end and I didn't save. So it just went on its own. Share. I don't know. Should we share to story? It went 1 minute.